everyone, and welcome to the April Fool's edition of Project Esports. It is April Fool's. I have to bring it up. Is everything we're going to say real?
Yes, everything we're going to say is real. It is not April Fool's. Literally the worst holiday. Absolute worst. Garbage, bottom tier. Give me any other holiday, please.
We will talk about Dylan's deep-seated issues with April Fool's later on. I'm a little concerned, but no, it is April 1st, 2019. This is a Project Esports podcast. As always, I am your host, Andrew, alongside a very, very salty Dylan Beal already, and a very tired and still waking up James Graham. How are you guys doing today?
I'm tired.
I'm good. I'm a little tired. We spent the week at PAX and got back like at 3:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Going to sleep at 4 a.m. last night. So a little tired, but I'm ready to talk about esports because I was just like absorbing it and consuming esports that I just need to say it. I need to output it.
We took in a lot this weekend. Before we get into that, for those of you that don't know, Project Esports is a weekly esports talk show where the three of us talk about whatever we kind of feel like in esports and a little bit of video games, depending on the week, and we give our opinions about the biggest stories, interviews, topics, anything kind of like that. We go live every Monday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/popped_off, and now here we are today, ready to talk esports. But before we do that, we do have two kind of things for housekeeping today. We haven't done housekeeping in a while because we haven't had much to talk about. But first off, thanks to James' help and my stream last week too, we have now officially hit Twitch affiliate, which means you can now sub. We will now have emotes coming up, and we'll be talking about those all. So any kind of support that way, as we always say, any little support means, even that's a Twitch Prime reminder that we will have every now and then. That does mean the world to us, but we have hit affiliate. That's super excited. We're glad to be back on here. That was a big push we made forever when he first got started before he went to the game house. Now that we're back, we've had a lot of great traction, so it's awesome that we hit affiliate so quickly now. And the second piece is we're going to be introducing fan questions into the show kind of towards the end and throughout it based on the question. So how that's going to be is each week, whenever something comes up, if you have something to talk about from the previous show, just send an email with questions in the title to contact@poppedoff.com. And we'll try to include them in the show for the next week. So if we're already talking about the topic you bring up, we'll just work the question right into the topic. Otherwise, we'll answer any questions at the end of the show, and we'll kind of include those in based on kind of the conversation like that. So if you have ever questions about us, esports, even a little bit of video games, if it can kind of be related, feel free to send those to us. We'll try to work those into the show the best possible, because we get answered some of the questions in chat already, so why not kind of just make it official things and give you a place to send all these questions to throughout the week, and I'll be reminding you as those go on. But with that, let's jump into the first topic, which is going to be a lot of me and Dylan talking. James, you can pop in here and there maybe, but like Dylan said in the opening, me and him were at PAX East 2019 this last weekend, and we both got back physically today, late last night, and we're both very tired from that. But Dylan, what did you think about it all? How are you feeling after this?
It was good. This is my fifth PAX, so definitely a veteran PAX goer. It was really good. Every year we see a good presence of esports there. There was a ton of magic there, which I think we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. But overall, it's fun. Got to play a lot of video games. Got to go to a lot of really good panels. So PAX is always a really good time of the year because it helps revitalize you a little bit, get you all hyped up to do content, and it's always good because I got to see a bunch of old friends. I see Andrew for the first time IRL, so that was good. I learned that he is a giant human being. Obviously, just born and raised in Wisconsin, I guess just makes you just a tank of a person.
A lot of milk and a lot of cheese, Dylan. A lot of milk and a lot of cheese.
A lot of dairy.
A lot of dairy. That's where it comes from. But no, yeah, I mean, so Dylan, why he's the experienced PAX goer, this was my first one we kind of talked about the last couple of weeks. But yeah, it was everything I kind of wanted it to be, and even a little bit more. Meeting Dylan, meeting all kinds of people. He introduced me to a bunch of people, and even one or two people that I kind of interact with a little bit on social media got to meet too, so that was all super awesome. But we don't want to talk too much about our impressions in the video games because we are an esports podcast, but we did on the Popped Off YouTube channel just put up a video kind of going through our full impressions of the conference, of esports a little bit too, even, and some of our favorite games. So if you want to go check that out on YouTube, we post that on social media as well. You can find that over there. But that was just kind of our full recap. So it was about 25-30 minutes of us just kind of talking through what we thought. So do go and check that out. But yeah, I guess the big thing for us is, yeah, there's a nice little esports presence at PAX. And even what I really love seeing is that there were so many Boston Uprising fans there the entire weekend. We got to see, didn't wait in line to get signed or anything like that because I'm a Valiant fan. You're a Justice fan. But Axiom and Calyx were both there, signing autographs and all that kind of stuff. And there's always lines. I feel like every 20 people probably wearing some kind of Boston Uprising gear. I feel like, at least that I was paying attention to. I feel like it was a lot more people than I expected.
Yeah, there was a ton of Boston Uprising gear for sure. Everyone had like shirts, jackets, especially the zip up. The zip ups they were doing, I think at the end of season one, there was a ton of people wearing those. So definitely everyone who was local to Boston was just showing up with their gear, repping Uprising, which is really cool to see because, it just shows that people are actually buying these things. They're supporting the teams. They're hyped about Overwatch and esports in general. So that was really cool.
Yeah, and I guess the one thing we talked about a little bit when we were there, and I'd be curious to see what your full impressions on it because we didn't talk about it too much. And James, you can comment on this one. But so Boston Uprising are the only Overwatch League team that can advertise in all of Massachusetts, pretty much, and especially in Boston. And PAX East is in Boston every single year. It's been there as long as you've been going, and there's no plans on ever moving it. But I just think it'd be super cool if the NYXL, if the Washington Justice, I mean, we could go up there too, because PAX East is one of the biggest video game conventions in the US and even in the probably top 15 in the world. So it's just crazy to think that Boston Uprising kind of gets to dominate all of that. So do we see that being something that maybe down the road, especially once localization comes, that they might change around? Or do you think Boston just got lucky that PAX is there and the other teams are just going to have to start their own thing if they ever wanted something like that?
I don't think that they're going to change that just because these few fringe cases like PAX East, West, and South um, are just kind of fringe cases that don't show up very much. So I don't think it's worth changing the rules for it because in the instances that there isn't anything going on, there is no PAX going on, no big con going on. It would be weird if like NYXL was just like, hey, by the way, we're going to advertise in Florida for some reason. So I think it makes sense that they're kind of limiting where you can advertise to just your immediate area. The one thing I do see a little bit of problem with, and I actually do want to look into this more, so I don't know if there's anyone I can reach out to in the Overwatch League or anything, but there's a couple universities between like New York and Philly. Like they're kind of close, especially in like Northeast Pennsylvania and stuff like that. So it's like, where do these regions actually lie? Are they like all inclusive and encompassing? Like, does New York have a really big map that goes into Pennsylvania? Does Philly, the Philly Fusion, just have all of Pennsylvania?
Like, who owns exactly Wisconsin? That's my another big thing.
Does anyone actually own Wisconsin? Like, I would be very interested to see these actual maps of who owns which region, or if it's kind of just like a soft thing. Like, maybe Boston Uprising only just has Boston. Maybe they don't have all of Massachusetts. Maybe it's just Boston, like their namesake. Maybe Philly Fusion only has like the marketing rights to Philadelphia and nowhere outside of Philly. So I'd be very, very, very interested to see like more details on that.
Yeah, the legislation kind of like that's the one thing I'm curious about is just because like what are the like the inner workings of that, like where are people limited to? Because I feel like if for something like PAX East, like I mean it's one of the biggest things on the East Coast for like the States and Canada, right? So I mean like even like seeing the Defiant there wouldn't be like totally mind blowing to me. Oh, am I too loud?
Yeah, I turned you down a lot.
Okay, good. Thank you for the adjustment. But yeah, no. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if like we saw a lot of the East Coast teams migrate, and even like I said, even Toronto. But like, I mean, by the sounds of it, there's definitely some sort of legislation or some sort of like understanding amongst the teams that you can't really do that if the legislation actually isn't there. But I feel I don't know. I feel like the Overwatch League kind of covered their asses with a lot of this stuff. So I don't know. There's probably something there. I don't know if we'll ever see it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm like you said. I'm sure the Overwatch League is able to change those areas wherever they want. But I think early on we're having some kind of problem. I think like the London Spitfire, mentioned something about it that like, oh, why didn't you do this event because someone else owned it or something like that. So like there's been that conversation before, and I'm sure the Blizzard can change all of that at any point, but that is what teams paid for. Like teams did pay to have that region locked down that only they can do it. So making exceptions for small things probably won't happen too much, but it's something cool that I don't really think about too much with geolocation, and that I guess you don't ever think about in like traditional sports. But not to talk about PAX too much because we did talk about PAX already for a half an hour on a video. So if you do want kind of more impressions on some of the panels we went to, the video games, all that kind of stuff, do go check that video out because we have other things we want to talk about today, being the Mythic Invitational, one of them, which was on PAX.
Yeah.
But
not
we
to
didn't
talk about PAX too much, but let's talk about something that happened at PAX.
Yes, but it's not actually about our time at PAX because we actually didn't really interact with it too much. But Dylan, why don't you talk a little bit about the Mythic Invitational?
Yeah, so Magic the Gathering had a giant tournament at PAX, which normally they just have like small side events. So that just being like you can go and play Modern, you can play Standard, you can play Draft and all that. And they actually had a couple events that if you won those, you got to play into a qualifier. And if you won that qualifier, you got invited to, I think, the next invitational there. So there was actual big paper magic going on that had like real stakes, which was really cool, which I believe MTG, that's Emma Handy. She's part of Star City Games as a player and writer and stuff. I think she won that. Very, very good Magic player. And she also got picked up by, was it Tempo Storm? Did she get picked up by that, or was it someone else?
You're asking the wrong people.
I forget. Anyway, no, because she's just Star City Games. She's just Star City Games, actually. So I was thinking of someone else, but there was a lot of people there that did really, really well. But she won that. And then the big thing was the Mythic Invitational. And that was Mengucci won that. I think that's his name. He is a South American player, I believe. He won that. And it was huge. First prize was $250,000, and that's giant for Magic. Now, the interesting thing about this tournament is that it was played on MTG Arena because it was just a standard tournament, and they brought in a really weird format. It's called Duo Standard. So, Duo Standard is basically you bring two decks. It's a best of 3 with those two decks. You play one deck for round 1. And you play the other deck for round 2, and I think that's it. It's weird. It's like it's very non-Magic, and people were very upset about this because you basically bring a control deck and you bring an aggro deck, and I mean that's what a lot of people were doing and stuff, and it's just no, sorry, okay, sorry for jumping around so much. He's an Italian player. He is an Italian player.
Is that the guy who plays for Liquid? I think
someone there was playing for Liquid.
Yeah,
we did see someone in a Liquid jersey.
I think he made it to the finals. I think I kind of caught.
It was someone that he doesn't play for Liquid, but yeah, sorry, he is an Italian player. But anyways, it's a weird format because there's no sideboarding, which that's kind of where high level Magic is played, is in the sideboard. So this is weird because normally you sit down and you play a best of 3, and after game 1 you go, okay, let me look in my sideboard and make real decisions, make real high level decisions, and let me analyze what they're playing and what they're going to sideboard in and what I should play and what I should sideboard in, and that's Magic. That's high level Magic. That's interesting. This, no one liked it. Like there was just terrible reception. There was like a timer that was going on, and so like there was an instance of the time running out and someone lost against aggro when they were playing control, but they were at a point in the game where they were stabilizing, but they had lower health because aggro does a lot of damage in the beginning, and so they lost because of that. But the aggro player was out of gas and he couldn't really do anything, and the control player had real cards and like could win the game, but it just kind of went to time.
Wait, so there's a timer for the entire match?
Yeah, but that's normal. That's normal for Magic.
Okay?
Normally Magic has 40-minute time limits. But once you get to time, it's a best of 3, so you're probably on game 3 at that point.
Right, yeah.
And because of time, you have 5 turns to finish the game, and if there's no clear winner, it just counts as a tie, like for that match, and that's fine. And this was a weird way of doing it, so it was completely different from how Magic normally is. So a lot of people had a lot of issues with that, and the interesting thing is that they also announced their new set, or the Spark, coming out, which basically derailed the whole conversation of how bad this new format is. Because on the subreddit, everyone's like, this is terrible. This kind of sucks. This doesn't make for good Magic. Why are you doing this? And then they released all the spoilers, and everyone's like, oh, these are hype cards. And they're posting all the cards, and there's discussion, and no one's talking about it anymore because the new card's coming out. So it's weird.
Good job, Wizards. Way to dodge the PR bullet.
Like, obviously, it wasn't in response to it being bad, them releasing it. It was planned release, but it just, Peppo think, really good time to release it when you're doing something, kind of weird. So I don't know. I didn't like it. It's cool that, Magic is an esport now, and it's, tons of money on the line and stuff, but I just wish it was real Magic, because you could still do best of 3 and sideboarding and all that in MTG Arena. It's not like the technology isn't there. They're just going, hey, here's a weird format. And obviously we've been talking about Hearthstone's Specialist format and how bad that is. And it feels like Magic was like, we have an opportunity to make a really good card game that's digital and could be a really good esport because Hearthstone's messing up so much. I guess we will not do that and instead do this really dumb format. Like, it sucks. I hate it.
But nobody can fight them now because Hearthstone's on the decline. Artifact is in it's in like an
long-term hiatus.
Development coma.
That's
development coma. Yeah. So yeah, we can kind of bitch and moan about the state of MTG, but nobody's going anywhere else, I think, for a time. So I think if this was the time for Wizards to kind of screw with the format and stuff like that, this is the time to do it, because they don't have a big competitor anymore. They don't. They're the giant now.
Yeah, you're totally right, and they're doing this not only in digital format but in paper format. They're trying it because they're, not to deviate too much from the esport of it, because this will possibly bleed into the esport of it. So there is implications from it. But whenever they play in Magic Fest London, they're doing a new mulligan system. And this mulligan system is very different. So for anyone who doesn't know, it's going to be called the London Mulligan. Normally, whenever they do a new mulligan rule, which Magic has gone through a couple different ones, they name it after the city it's implemented in. I think we're in Vancouver Mulligan. I think that's the current one. I don't remember off the top of my head, but they changed it just a couple years ago. So the Mulligan we have now is newer. I like it the most. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
But the one that they're going to be moving in towards is you draw your 7 cards at the beginning of the game, and then every time you mulligan, you still draw 7 cards. But every time you mulligan, you have to put one of those cards at the bottom of your deck. So, but every time you draw 7 cards again. So instead of going down 1 card every time, you still draw the 7, which this is huge because, sometimes you only need 4 good cards. You don't need all 7. Sometimes you just need the 4 good cards that you are trying to get.
Are you telling me you can sit there and just keep mulliganing and mulliganing with really no repercussions because the cards are going to your bottom of your deck? Right? I guess some combos are going to be pushed aside, but at the same time, if you're running multiples and stuff, which most major decks do, right? You're not really getting too hurt by.
Well, the major thing that's hurting is that you're starting with less cards, which that's a thing that hurts you. But the cards that you start with are the ones that you pick out of 7, which is huge because this means that combos are going to be incredibly strong because sometimes you just need a couple cards for a combo. If I'm not to go too in the weeds with this, but if I'm playing like Storm, I'm just looking for 3 or 4 cards to really go nuts with that.
Yeah,
and this is really big, and if it ends up going through, this is going to be an MTG Arena. They're not going to separate it too much, and that's going to have huge implications, and it's going to change the game a lot. So they're definitely just going nuts with everything right now. New sets coming out, obviously new formats, doing weird stuff with MTG Arena. I hate being one of those people who are don't do anything with my Magic. It's good just how it is, but that's why it's successful. It's good how it is, and I appreciate them attempting stuff and trying things out. And I hope that they tried this out at PAX. they realize people want to watch it as an esport because 100,000 people are watching on Twitch.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people watching on Twitch. People want to watch this, especially because it has a good viewing format, because it's not like paper. People don't want to watch paper because you can't see the cards. You can see the cards so easily in this. And I hope they see that a lot of people want to watch it, but people don't like the current format. Players don't like the current format, and they move it towards something that looks like traditional paper Magic.
Just to close on this note, because I know Andrew, I can see Andrew's wrangling face coming up.
Yeah, he's just looking confused, like, what does any of this mean?
Can we just agree that like the London Mulligan sounds like the shiftiest thing in the world? Like that.
Oh yes,
it sounds real shady to me. Not to bash London, but like just something with the London Mulligan. It just rolls off the tongue for me. Go ahead, Andrew. It's okay now, buddy. You can come back.
Is this what it feels like to you, Dylan, when James talks about League of Legends for 45 minutes?
No, because I still keep up to date with esports lingo, and I can still kind of follow along.
Yeah.
When you kept saying into the weeds, I'm like, I thought this already was the weeds. It goes deeper. You said that twice, and both times I got more lost, and I'm like, okay, we're giving you just your own personal 20-minute podcast a week where you talk Magic so we can get this
if
out.
If only, dude. Just if only.
I'd do it. I'd join him.
There. Good. Go leave. Go do your little Magic talk. I'm so lost. But no, it's I have nothing to add on them. We're just gonna kind of rotate from here because I don't even know how to come up with a good transition out of that. But James, it is April 1st. There is two big things happening today. One, Reddit is doing something good. Like, wow.
Good.
Well, no, not Reddit, but
not
one
Reddit.
A
specific subreddit, yeah.
We're leaving it eerie. James leaving the topic. I'm going to let him go into that. And obviously, the other half of it is it's April 1st, and there's a lot of jokes, memes, whatever you want to call it, going on through April 1st today because it is April Fool's Day.
Yeah, so the internet actually seems to be in a bit of a revolt with April 1st. Like I woke up to, I say, like 10 to 15 people tweeting, like, April Fools isn't about screwing over your buddy anymore. It's about which corporation can kind of come up with a better marketing scheme for April Fools. And it's getting kind of old. Yeah, see, Dylan's with me. But that being said, r/games kind of, they literally boycotted April Fools. Instead, they pretty much heavily based the day around like this, like, I mean, it's a big meme that like the Gamers Rise Up meme is a thing, right? And we're a bunch of degens and all this stuff. It's a mess, right? r/games kind of like, they acknowledge the fact that they've been like weeding through comments and stuff like that. They did a very like anywhere from like misogynistic to transphobic, like to all these really negative parts of like gaming culture and like almost nerd culture. I don't want to get it too broad, but I mean the two kind of overlap and encompass each other. So that the mods from r/games basically were saying, no, you guys, you're taking a break today. We're gonna call you out on your shit. And they put out this huge post basically being like, we need to address these issues amongst our community, amongst ourselves and stuff like that. So we're not letting anybody post anything today. And instead, we want you to become aware of various charities and donations or like places you can donate and stuff like that for people like, you know, who are experiencing issues that we as a community are fueling.
Yeah.
That,
really focusing on diversity and inclusion is what they were saying, that we need to be more diverse. We need to be proud of our diversity, and we need to focus on inclusion. So it was all organizations, websites, and things that were based around those two ones.
Yeah, those are the big things. And now when I say boycott, they shut down the subreddit for a day. They literally just like shut it down.
I didn't even know that was possible.
I didn't know it was possible either until I saw this. I was like, oh damn! Like I thought like Reddit could only do this, not the mods. But yeah, they're like you can't post. And like this is like a 1.2 million person subscriber like subreddit. It's huge, right? It's massive, right? So I think they're definitely going to take a ding for it, but at the same time, like I think this is a really good thing. They're not preachy. They're not doing this wrong. Like this was very well thought out, clearly, and it's a really nice to see. I'm a big supporter of it. Dylan?
I got two big ones. I have the April Fool's thing overall, and then obviously this one. This is great because gamers were a mistake. Gamers get the block as well. They get the block second next to the boomers. They're on my list. But no, this is good because a lot of like what's going on in our subculture is kind of terrible, and unfortunately, we have to have discussions about this. And it sucks because it seems like common sense, like don't be terrible to women, don't be terrible to like minorities, and it it sucks to talk about because there's so many people that are have like mushy brains who don't understand these things, and it's terrible. And that's why they get the block. Gamers are going to get the block. So
now let me for all our listeners, let me let you guys know that an esports radical, which Dylan is, and a gamer are two very different things.
oh yes, very different things. And then also moving on to I guess the overall topic of April Fools. I hate it. It's a bad holiday. It's a terrible holiday. And like you were saying, it just like just rolls up into this like weird, terrible. I hate it because it's just part of this overall like weird thing at our point in society of where capitalism is like, hey, we're a big company, but also we're personal and we're your friends too. Like, haha, like sick Wendy's clap pack, guys. Like, I hate it. It's stupid. No, you're a big corporate conglomerate that like doesn't pay people well and basically like abuses your employees. You're not our friends. Any big company out there trying to do April Fools, you're not our friends. I don't like it. I hate it. They get the block too. That's number 3. Corporations, boomers, gamers, corporations. All 3 get the block.
Is it in that order?
No, sorry. It's corporations get it first, then boomers, then gamers. Gamers, you better watch out because you might go up there if you keep acting the way that you're acting. No, but it's dumb. I hate it. It's overplayed. Everyone expects it. I guess like back in the day it was like 1 or 2 like kind of funny ones. And then now everyone's like, all right, marketing team, we have to come up with something real funny so that we'll get some sick retweets. It's dumb. I hate it.
Now do you agree with like making like April Fools like exclusives like in-game items and stuff like that? Like do you agree with that, or do you still think that's like down like yeah, okay, fair enough.
Why? Who cares?
I don't know, man. People buy it, right? Like people,
I guess,
people buy into
but
that.
that just I mean, I like if you want to have like in-game stuff, like it's all your prerogative, I guess. But I don't know, it's dumb. Why do we celebrate this holiday?
I don't know, dude. I don't know. Andrew, can you help? Can you help and tell us why we celebrate April Fool's Day?
I like April Fool's Day. I'm afraid to say that out loud here now, but I don't know. I am that marketer. The person getting the block is me. Yeah. The person getting the block is me, Dylan. I will be getting the block. But, like, fine, the big corporations and stuff like that, that's whatever. Some of those are hit or miss. Some try a lot harder. But, like, I think some of the ones that I've really seen today have been more lighthearted and I love the very, very obvious April Fool's jokes. Like, I don't know if either one of you ever played the game For Honor, which is ran by Ubisoft.
Yeah.
They put rabbits into the game instead of like the normal soldiers. So all the normal soldiers had rabbits' heads and they were making rabbit sounds and stuff like that. Like that's a fun one-day little thing. Like there's nothing wrong with that. It gets people talking about For Honor again. It's a Ubisoft property. That's a great idea. Or like even like it was just a stupid meme, but the Seoul Dynasty and the Chengdu Hunters came together to form the Endangered and changed their logo up to kind of bring awareness to endangered animals while still being a meme about dragons and pandas. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, especially in the Overwatch League, where a lot of teams already are social. They're not a big corporation. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. Actually, I just want to add a stop to that because apparently a ton of team social medias are owned by the same company.
That may be misinformation now. That may be misinformation after this following weekend.
I don't know, dude.
But it is not uncommon for social media to be ran by digital marketing agencies anywhere, anything. People are still interacting. It's still small people interacting with the community. Just because they don't directly work for the organization does not mean they still don't care about the community they're interacting with. So one, that's chill. Calm down. No more blocks for today. I am putting an end to the block. Only 2 groups can go on the block each episode. That is your limit. All right, Dylan?
That's it? That's all we're getting is 2. He's getting... Okay, who's it this week?
No.
Is it-
You can add 2 each week. I don't care
Oh,
if
we
it's
can add-
1,000.
Oh no,
group.
I added 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I won't add any more.
But I'm not
Won't add
letting you.
any
I'm
more.
not letting you put team social medias on there. But I think there's the right ways and wrong ways to do it. I think making it extremely obvious and over the top or very tongue in cheek. Like the San Francisco Shock. They play the Valiant this Friday. And they tweeted out, "We're looking forward to a very close and competitive game this Friday." Valiant roll in 7. Very tongue in cheek. Personal hit to me. But that's a fun little thing to do. I think those little ones are fine. Or making memes about the current environment are fine. Don't try too hard.
It's passe though at this point. Like we've seen it so often. Like
I mean, half the things in this world are passe. Like,
yes, exactly. And
but that's
I'm not
okay.
gonna
It's
add-
okay for things to stay status quo. I am not the esports radical. You're the esports radical. I'm okay with some things staying status quo.
Are perfectly fine. Things being status quo are perfectly fine. It's overplayed so.
I think the big thing is too that we gotta remember is that like Dylan, like you and I are like we're like old hat at this point, dude. Like we're like we've seen it all. We've seen it all go through.
You're out of the loop, Dylan. You're out
so
of the loop.
That we're ready to snap the loop in half.
And that's just it. We've been in the loop for so long that we're tired of it.
No.
Like I remember back in the day when World of Warcraft for Burning Crusade announced that this playable race for Alliance would be Wisps, and people lost their shit then. People lost their shit then, and because they thought it was real. And but that was the upcoming of that was the upswing of this like corporate like seizing onto the holiday or like I don't know, is it a holiday? I don't know what the
yes, it's a holiday.
It's a well, I don't get it off, so that's not a holiday to me.
You don't get holiday off for I don't know. There's some other big one that I feel like important.
Try this. But yeah, no. So like, and I mean, but that was like, oh my god, like 17 years ago, like that. No, not 17. A long time ago, long ass time ago. Warcraft's been around for a while.
Like
Man,
10.
maybe 10. Yeah, okay, 10 years ago. Yeah. So like, but now it's just like after seeing it stuff like that, like it's just so. I don't know. It's like you might as well chuck it into the event as like Christmas and like, but it's not the same, you know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
it's not the same. It's fun when a team puts out like a winter themed logo with like maybe a Santa hat on it. Like that's nice.
That's not
cute. That's
passe.
fun.
How is that? How is
No,
that different?
It's not passe because it's not overplayed and like trying hard. And that's exactly what April Fool's Day is. It's like who can try the hardest to make a dumb meme.
Dylan, you're a meme person. You do nothing but make dumb memes.
Yeah, but I make good memes.
He does make good memes.
I make real
Those
memes.
are some crafty memes.
I can't do this anymore. I can't do
Don't forget, everyone. Corporations aren't your friend. Unfollow all the corporations on Twitter immediately.
Fine. If you want a way to really get back at corporations, take the money away from Amazon and give it to small, caring creators like us. Because now that we are Twitch affiliates, that means we can get Twitch Prime. And each and every month, you can give a small creator $5 by pushing the little subscribe button in the top right corner and taking your money back from corporations. So if you want to follow in Dylan's step as an esports radical, make sure to give anyone on Twitch your Twitch Prime subscription each month because it does not auto-renew. It does cut away from Amazon's bottom line very, very little, but give it to anyone that you support because it does mean a lot to any content creator, even if it's not us. That was my best transition ever. I have nothing else to say.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was better than some of the more forced ones. I'll give you. You've had some cringy ones, but that one wasn't bad.
I just needed to get off that topic because it was going to go downhill from there. It was going very downhill from there. Like everything we talk about, I feel like. But we do have 2 more last topics, which seem a little bit more normal than usual. And the first one we're going to start with is everyone's favorite podcast within a podcast, Project Overwatch, where each and every week we find at least 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes to talk about Overwatch, depending on whatever is going on. And this week we have just one kind of big and almost surprising story for me. Me and Dylan were sitting in line when this happened for one of the panels, and it was actually about burnout, as we were waiting in a panel about creative burnout when Dafran retired from the Overwatch League, saying that he wasn't into it anymore, and that he wanted to return to streaming full time. And
Now, is this okay? This is the second time he's retired, though, isn't it?
so no, so right when he signed his contract, like a week later, he said, "Actually, I changed my mind. I can't do this. It's too much. I want to be done." But he kind of took it back. He played the first stage, obviously, and now this is an official retirement. From my understanding, he has left the team house. He's going back to full time streaming. Like he's still being under the Atlanta brand as part of the stream team, but he's no longer has anything to do with the team.
So he's like XQC. Same kind of.
No. He left on his own terms. He left because he wanted to. XQC
No,
was
I mean like
forced
the
out.
second time now because XQC is now part of the Gladiators.
No,
right?
he's on the contenders team. Not the he's on the academy team. He's actually playing.
Okay.
XQC is playing. I don't know how much he's actually playing. I actually haven't watched the Gladiators Academy team at all this stage so far. But no, he's leaving because he just didn't want to do it anymore. Which I mean, it's crazy to think. So he had the #1 selling jersey in the Overwatch League, and he was the #1 by far voted All-Star. Like this is the most popular player in stage 1. Just left the Overwatch League.
And we think it's due to burnout. Well,
No, I don't think it. I think 1, he makes more money streaming. 2, it's probably less work for him. I mean, practicing scrimming the high intensity games, it's not as stressful on him. He can make his own schedule. I mean, you see where that comes from. That's why Siegel left after last season, and you see other people kind of go to streaming more. But it's just crazy to think that the #1 most popular player in the Overwatch League, for whatever reason it was, is now gone. Just like that, overnight. He's now gone for stage 2 and the rest of the year.
I mean, like, so to me, this isn't like, if that's the reasoning, that's not that crazy. That's not that crazy to me, mainly because I've seen it happen with other esports. Like, I mean, a lot of people did that with League of Legends. Why bother going pro? Like, why would guys like Yasuo and Tyler One like try and go pro when they make so much money on a schedule that is dictated by them? I guarantee you right now, Sneaky from C9 would be able to leave the League of Legends, like the pro circuit, go stream, and he would make mad bank.
He doesn't even need to stream. He can just cosplay full time and make enough money.
He can do that too. But I mean, like that. But that's that's what I mean. Like these guys, like there is like these players exist in these realms, and so when Dafran, he was really popular. But like I don't think it's that like mind blowing to me. Like I don't know, man. Like and he's been around. Like he's been around for a while too, right? So he's used the competitive scene, but he's built up a following because of his personality and stuff like that. Not every player can do this. No, there's not a chance in hell. There's a lot of boring ass players, but like Dafran's not one of them. So I mean, like I don't blame him. This is probably smarter for him, smarter financially, smarter for his health. Like I mean, like overall, this is a good move by Dafran. It just kind of sucks that the community doesn't get to watch him play pro anymore. By the way, Tier 2 Overwatch, for anybody who's wondering, is on right now. You guys should, check it up on the second monitor.
Afterwards.
No, second monitor, dude. Second monitor.
Yeah.
The view doesn't count if you don't have sound on, so afterwards. But go on, Dylan.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, he had the best-selling jersey because he's a really good personality. He's huge. I mean, I'm sure if you look at Siegel and XQC, they had one of the top ones too during their times. I mean, it's about being a personality. That's why you sell a bunch, because people want your name on their jerseys or whatever. So it totally makes sense why he was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go stream, because he seems like he has a personality for streaming. And not saying that he's a bad player, he's an incredible player, but like it's incredibly stressful. And maybe he doesn't have the mindset to be the best player. Maybe that's not something that's important to him. Maybe going out there competing and going, I want to be a champion. I want to be a #1 player. I want to have our team win the Overwatch League season finals. Maybe that's not something important to him. And that's perfectly fine, because you get a lot of satisfaction and satisfaction out of just like entertaining people and playing a game and enjoying the game and going, wow, I really like my community. I think it's great. And I think it's wonderful. And I get to entertain all these people. And that's probably way more satisfying for him. So good for him. Go for it. Especially since like still affiliated with the team, being a streamer for the team. Go for it. I mean,
the paycheck probably makes you feel a little bit better.
Oh yeah, and then paycheck is perfectly fine. I mean, if you're going to get paid, even if it's the same or maybe even a tiny bit less, you would rather get paid for that and doing something that you enjoy than something that you don't enjoy.
But like, isn't it a problem that people could just use like these big esports like leagues and stuff like that as just a stepping stone to grow their personality a little bit?
That 100% no. Because he was very popular before and he's really popular after.
I mean, if you look at League of Legends, you see I'm a Cutie Pie, you see T1, you see other some of the biggest names. Yes, some of them have played there, but Tyler One never went pro. He's arguably one of the biggest personalities in League. Doublelift could leave, Sneaky could leave. These players could leave.
They're not using it though, because Dafran was like, "Hey, I'm a really good player. This team is approaching me, asking me to play for their team. I think this is something I want." Played it out, and it's not something that he wants. It's not like he was like, I'm going to use this team to get more popular. That's 100% not what it was. And I
think he's saying we're using the league itself as like a step. Like,
and okay, so I said it wrong. So let me rephrase the question before we go on too much. Isn't it bad that the highest league in the world for that esport isn't always the best option for the best players?
No, 100%. And
because you don't see the best football player or the best soccer player in the world going and doing something else. You see them going and playing that sport because that's where they do the best.
We also just saw it though, dude. Gronkowski retired at 29, and he doesn't like. And 29 is young for a football player, but Gronkowski, because he is a marketable personality, has endorsements up the yang. So why put yourself at risk? Why put yourself through the strenuous activity, the workout routines?
But he's not going to play arena football. He's done with football completely now. He's not doing it anymore.
That's like a bad analogy, though.
Yeah, but he's still getting carried by the endorsements, which, in I guess comparing it to video games, is just going back to Twitch. You know what I mean?
And like the same thing could be said for someone like, and I would argue that he is a terrible person, and I'm sorry for using this analogy, but like Conor McGregor, right? He's fought like he was fighting at the top of his game for just a couple of years, and obviously combat sports is incredibly like draining on your life in general. But like he was just like, hey, I'm done with this. This is way too much. It's too much trouble and stuff. He could leave and do like a couple like whiskey endorsements or whatever and be perfectly fine, and he's probably going to do that.
He owns the company now, right? So I mean,
yeah, and the only reason why a lot of players don't do this is because in traditional sports, sometimes it's their only avenue is to play for, millions of dollars every single year. Overwatch people aren't getting paid millions of dollars to play Overwatch on these teams. Hey, maybe if they were getting paid $1 million a year, it would be a little bit different. And maybe players would stick around a little bit longer. But when you just weigh the two, because it's just as lucrative and it's more satisfying to stream instead. And this is something very unique to video games because Twitch isn't for football players,
Sometimes.
Not yet. Shout out to the Giants, Tabor. What is his name? Tabor Snapping or whatever. He's a streamer out there. He also plays for the Giants. So shouts out to him. He's a really good streamer. Check him out.
Same with Gordon Hayward. Same deal.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, this isn't a traditional avenue. So that's why we don't see it happening in other sports because it's not a traditional thing to be presented to them. I'm sure if there was an avenue, if someone was like, hey, you can make the same amount of money and go on ESPN every single night, even if you're really young and you're a big personality, and they open that door a lot more often, I'm 100% sure they would do that.
Yeah. I want to shelve this because this is a good conversation. I want to go back to this at some point.
I agree with that because I have choice words, but we have about 10-15 minutes left, and those choice words will last that 10 to 15 minutes. And we still need to talk about League of Legends. We've got an honorable mention, and we need to wrap up there. So I agree. Let's shelf this conversation because I have a feeling this will not be the last time something like this happens this season. So next time this comes up, we might build a little bit more time in the show around this instead of pushing near the end. But James, my FlyQuest won this weekend.
FlyQuest did win this weekend. They beat the Golden Guardians 3-2, and that was a hell of a series. That was really fun to watch, actually. Golden Guardians, I actually tweeted out to them saying like they had a playoff jersey introduced, which was instead of the blue and gold, it was like a black and gold with like blue highlights. It was pretty slick looking. They played their asses off. That was a really good series. We saw Echo Fox and TSM go at it. that kind of went the way everybody expected it to go. A lot of people predicted 3-0, and ended in 3-1 for TSM. Echo Fox did take a game off them, which is good. It's great to see because they haven't been the most consistent roster. And then Europe was kind of not as entertaining because there was the first 3-0 of playoffs for the spring. Fnatic basically just wiped the floor with, oh my god, who did they play? Oh, they played Vitality. Who was like they're like a storied team at this point. And then SK, the old new guard, like I can say SK Gaming, and even Dylan knows who they are, like because they've been around for like ever. They just got back into League of Legends. They got back into franchising, and they lost their series 3-1, but it was still super entertaining. They've got some really fun players on there. Like it's nice seeing a lot of these with franchising. We see a lot of these teams picking up new blood and really not just rotating through the same same talent pool for like any region really. Like I mean like. You're seeing people really dig deep into like the second tiers and stuff like that. The lesser known regions, like I mean, I've talked about them a bunch on the podcast, but like Broken Blade is from Turkey, who is like they do not have a very big League of Legends like as far as like their professional scene. Like they do have a ton of players. They have their own server. Like I mean, so like they're definitely big enough, but their pro scene isn't as well regarded as say like the major other regions, right? So we're starting to see more players get drawn in, and we're also seeing the UK like circuit, like the lower league. I think it's called like the LVP UK or something like that. Bring up a ton of talent like Humanoid, Selfmade, Abadage. Like there's a lot of good players that are coming up through that. So it's dope to see new players as somebody who's been watching for so long. And I've watched the same like 50 players play for so long, right? It's nice to see new guys. I'm excited for it. It's fun.
Yeah, I know we were at PAX. We kind of like I was kind of following on Twitter a little bit for the FlyQuest Golden Guardian games. I didn't actually get to play any of it. Really, the only League of Legends of any type that we went into was we went into the what was it, Alienware like Outpost or whatever. We got our exclusive arcade skins for Severe, all that kind of stuff. There's a
that I will never use.
There was a League streamer in the back. They're tied to the account, and we had to answer trivia about it. So, I want to ask you these trivia questions.
You ask me these trivia questions?
Yep. So, you got to pick your favorite character. And so, I picked Quinn. So, first off, what region is Quinn from?
Demacia.
What's the name of her bird?
Valor.
What is the king of Demacia?
J4.
No, he's the prince of Demacia.
No, okay, no, because the last king's dead. So it's J3.
Not a J3. That's the right term. So that took me a very long time. Those are the three questions I had to answer. Dylan, do you remember what you had to answer for yours?
Yeah. So she was like, "Who's your favorite champ?" And I was like, "Garen, of course. I love Garen." Who does what team is he on? Demacia.
Yeah.
Who's his sister? Ashe.
Lux.
Wrong. Yeah, Lux.
Wow.
I got it on my second try though.
You knew that instantly, James?
That's a really easy one.
That's kind of.
I mean, not for me. Not for me.
Yeah, no. But like, if you play, like, I mean, League of Legends has really actually a huge credit to Riot. Like, they've been really stepping up their like lore and like art department and stuff like that, and really adding like some flavor to the game and stuff like that, which is kind of funny. Go ahead.
I have another really good one for you.
Okay.
Who is Annie's sister?
I don't remember her name, but she killed her.
It's the name of someone's alt. Is the hint that they gave.
It's the name of someone's alt.
Yes.
And it's a jungler.
Oh, God. It's the name of somebody's...
We'll give him another hint in 2 seconds.
Yeah, give me another one.
The jungler is a tree.
Her sister's name is Daisy.
Yep.
There you go.
That's what some guy had to answer to get like a second skin for his friend, which we could have done for you probably, but we didn't feel like messaging you and asking you for your information. And two, we never would have been able to get those kind of questions.
I would you could have put me on speaker and I would have rhymed everything off.
That's probably a good point. You probably could have done that, but you know, you got to be there for next year. But that's our little League of Legends corner. Unless you had anything else you want to kind of bring up on that.
No, not really. Like, I mean, like we're progressing further into playoffs. It's going to be super fun. A bunch of the smaller regions are now into the like final playoffs too. My personal favorite, the OPL, are in theirs as well. There's a huge storyline coming out of there. Like the 6th place seed is now like they still use the gauntlet format, And yeah, which is like kind of dated a little bit, but I'm still a big fan for it because you really get to see how teams do, and like you get to see the momentum factor and stuff like that. So their 6th place seed is now taking on the number 1 seed. I think this weekend, which is really exciting. So yeah, I'm stoked.
Yeah, so watch out. A lot of that coming back. Overwatch League is coming back this weekend too. So lots of watches upcoming weekend. So do make sure to tune in all that. And to include watching Tier 2 Overwatch, which is going on right now. And we're ending in just a couple minutes. So go do tune into that and check that out afterwards. But Dylan, you do have one honorable mention you want to kind of briefly talk about before we wrap up tonight's show. Maybe?
Oh yeah.
What's up?
The honorable mention for
No?
Oh yeah, the honorable mention.
There we go.
Yeah, so Tokyo Reporter reported this out from something that happened in Tokyo, so keep it to their namesake. Apparently, an ex-video game world champion admitted to 100...
Burglaries?
Yes. I was going to absolutely say that incorrectly, so thank you. Yeah, so I think he had a couple wins in like Dead or Alive back during the World Cyber Games. Shouts out to all my old esports viewers back when we had World Cyber Games. But yeah, he like won Dead or Alive Ultimate back then, and he got like $1,500. Sorry, $15,000. It's a little bit more, but he was like, "Oh, I had nothing left after, those games were not relevant anymore, so I had to steal a bunch of money, like over 100 times, which is insane."
How do you get raided that many times? And as a gamer too, I don't think gamer get away with 100 burglaries. First off,
yeah, so that was pretty wild.
Yeah, there's not much to it. We saw it on Reddit. I linked it there. I'm like, oh, why not? Kind of talk about it. He's not the big esports name or anything like that. It's like double lift going and doing 100 burglaries in a couple of years, but it's just a fun little story, anyways. But with that kind of wraps up today's show. Unless either one of you guys have anything else you want to kind of touch back on in the last couple of minutes.
I didn't burn down our Slack channel while you guys were gone, which was good. Yeah. It was close though.
Dylan held things together. Kate in chat helped us out a little bit this week while we were gone too. I don't know how much he wants to say about that, but Kate was a big help while we were gone this last week too. So thank you very much for that. But with that is Project Esports for April 1st, 2019. April Fools, whatever you want to call it. Thank you each and every one of you for watching.
Yeah, so I mean, like every time we lead into our outro, Andrew kind of steals my thunder. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you for interacting in the chat, anything online, all that good stuff. As mentioned earlier in the show, we're gonna be doing that. We're gonna be doing like the fan questions and stuff like that. So that's gonna be super dope for anybody who wants to participate in that. Let us know. We'll get you on here. Yeah, it means a lot.
Yeah, and we go live every single Monday, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time over here at twitch.tv/popped_off. And if you miss out on the live version, the VODs and audio also go up the following day. That's on our YouTube at Popped Off, or you can search any single podcast platform out there and find us. I'm talking Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, Podmeme, Podbean, Podseam, all of them. Just go to one. Just go to one and search us, and we're there. So yeah, don't forget, corporations aren't your friends.
With that, I'm Andrew.
I'm James.
And I'm Dylan.
And thank you for watching the Project Esports podcast for April 1st, 2019. We will see you guys next week.